Everybody's doing well. Let me go ahead and turn the comments on. Hopefully they will work. If they do not, I apologize, but I'm always interested in wanting feedback and to hear what you guys have to say, so please don't hesitate to comment. There we go. Hey, hello, hello. Good morning, good morning. It is a beautiful day. Indeed, indeed it is. Thanks for being here, or we're here, whatever the case may be. Hello, how are you? So let's get started. First, the disclaimer. I'm not an expert of any kind. This is not legal advice. This is not medical advice. This is not any type of advice. This is research together that we do live, so you guys can kind of see the process, how I build theories and how things kind of unfold. It is part testimonial, part educational, but educational for me as well. We learn to be autodidactic and to seek the information or the knowledge, that we are after. We learn to dig for that. Thank you guys for being so good to each other. That's awesome to see. So I was going to talk about something totally different, and I'm going to be upfront about that. I always ramble a little bit at the beginning of the videos just to wait for anyone who might show up and to just give a little background for anyone who's new here. And we do have about 20 new people, which is pretty cool. But we have definitely a diverse crowd because it's a diverse channel. We talk about things that are strange, things that are taking place that are not what we are used to as far as, normality. And, the range for normal is pretty wide, and we admit that in our society. Autodidactic. It is serious. You should get it, though. It is when you are educating yourself. That's awesome, though. I like that. It was funny. That reminded me of somebody I haven't seen in a long time. It was nice to laugh. So yeah, I was going to talk about something totally different. I'm not the science girl, the physics girl. I am not, definitely at all. So that's why we do this, the research with me videos kind of together. I wanted to talk about, because we're building up to the 2024 eclipse, obviously before it happens, but we're going to do another big video on that. That was the most upsetting part when I nuked the original content on the original channel, was losing the videos like that, because they were in live streams, so I didn't have them saved anywhere, which was, my own fault. But we really had built up some good content, and the videos were nice and put together. That is not the case now because my life has changed. You guys know I talk about my testimony a lot and how stressful things are, but I do that because I know a lot of you are going through the same things. And we're trying to figure out, like, where's all this coming from, right? Where's all this? Where's the source of this? Is it God, the creator maker of this place? Hello, welcome. Or is it man? Is it our own government, our own mind control, our own military psyoping the public? And as usual, I'm not riding the fence on this. I do think that the truth lies somewhere in the middle. The truth is complicated sometimes, but it does stand alone. You don't have to defend it. It's there after everything falls apart and the dust settles. The truth is still standing. Like, that's all you'll see at the end of anything. And love is truth. Okay, so that's why I kind of do this, but I do it because I was asked to do it. God, source, whatever. A lot of us had NDEs when this all began in like 2017-ish. And for whatever reason, when that happens to people, they have these commonalities that start to occur in their life, but also in their scope of vision, how they see things, and even with changes physiologically in their bodies. Okay? Now I gotta do a little high strangeness documentation real quick. I was at work. You guys know how weird my life is. I expect these things now. twice I mentioned in front of two different people. So these are two different coworkers, small town, but still. The one was the one that told me to get the job. She's the one that also 2 years ago told me to put a mask on. I said I wasn't putting a mask on, so I left the store. Now I'm working with her. And so, she calls herself a Christian. I think these people just say that. I don't know what they're doing, but I know when I'm being tested, like throughout the day, and every day another hot button issue come up. It was like aliens and, all Elon Musk was putting his Starlink in the sky and just all this stuff, right? And you just can't get away from it. And I know that we are being tested right now. Those of us who are actually seeking truth and who seem to still function with our free will, we're being tested. And again, what is the source of this? Where's it coming from? But twice I mentioned that I was trying to forego the eating of animals. And I don't judge it. Again, this is not me telling you what to do at all. I don't even know what to do most of the time. I'm walking this out and just looking at the picture of Christ and trying to go from there. 2018 and 19 were nutty enough that I've decided to wait until it's my time to peek behind the veil. Haha, that's funny. But yeah, the apocalypse actually means apocalypse does not mean war, okay? And Armageddon is a place where war happens, but they don't actually mean war in and of themselves. Apocalypse is a revealing, and the original definition, the full definition of apocalypse is the lifting of the veil. And I believe that's what myself and some of us have been seeing, though we are seeing it earlier than other people. Now, scripture says, and again, I will talk about scripture, but I don't judge people. You are welcome here, no matter what religion, faith system, political standing, gender, any of that stuff that doesn't personally matter to me. We'll get into like theological debates in other videos. That's not what this debate is about, or this video is about. But when I speak like that, know that is my paradigm. It's the only paradigm like I'm kind of under is love, and I'm in truth, and I'm trying to really just focus on that. And I'm trying not to pick the lesser of two evils anymore in this world, because that's a lose-lose situation. So twice I mentioned to customers, because they had beans and stuff, and these people were obviously, the one person I talked to before I knew her daughter was vegetarian and she was cooking for her, yada yada. I said something about, trying to forego meat and how it was hard, and it's like an addiction if you're born with it. And twice these people, their heads like snapped at you. And I don't know if it's the demon in that. I don't know what it is. And guns too, that's the other topic. That is other people's choice and right to defend their homes, homesteads, protect themselves from wild animals. Like, I don't put my personal, what am I looking for? Lifestyle choices on anyone else. I'm just sharing my journey so that like other people who are having similar issues might be able to say, yeah, you're not the only one experiencing that. But guns are the other issue. And I don't comment on that. I don't consent to them being in my presence. I will never own one. There will never be one in my name that I know of, or willingly, that I go out and do. That was a part of this whole kickoff thing for me. That was one of the clues that was left for me. It was a little wildlife card with my spouse's name written on it. And it's funny because that doesn't apply to him at all. But it was literally just a clue. Like, it's a clue, they tried to do this spell on me, and I think it was to get me into the woods, we've talked about all this, about the national parks, we've talked about missing 411, and I think I was able to see these things because God let me see them and helped me to avoid them. For how long it will be the case, I don't know. So of course, here's me running my mouth and telling everybody what I saw and what happened to me, because I don't think anyone else should be unaware. And there's a lot of things happening right now, and everybody, it's great. I love laughing. It's great to make a joke and stuff, but there's some serious stuff happening out there. And it is looking like to the uneducated eye, it can look like magic, right? And what is that phrase about undiscovered science is magic to the untrained eye, or something like that. And that's true. That's true, right? And what we call science today is what they called magic hundreds of years ago. Sorcerers and witches are not people who mess with crystals. Crystals are actually in the Old Testament with Aaron's vest. What did I see? What did I not see? I saw my friends and family, well, not my circle, the circle of people that were around me at that time. They would get black eyes, but not all at once or together. It would like go from person to person. And I mean, not black pupils. I mean, their whole eyeball was black. There was no white. There was nothing like that. The whole thing was black, the whole eyeball. Geez. Like I said, I recognized the signs of them trying to bind me up in a spell. Like literally, when I think back to it, it's literally like that game you play when you're a kid and they spin you, they put a blindfold around on your eyes and they spin you, right? Pin the tail on the donkey. What type of ritual is that we're all doing? But when I think back to that time, it was a period of several months where these clues were like laid out, and it's like they lay it out so like if you don't say anything, if you don't say no, then they are. My sister saw her ex-husband's eyes turn completely black. Yeah, dude, like it's not and that's the thing, like I was gonna do this video about soul swapping, or people who thought maybe their relatives weren't their relatives anymore, and they've come up with a whole condition for it. Now, let me be frank here. Most insane people won't say they're insane. I'm willing to admit, yeah, I can be crazy. I think we all are crazy in this place, but again, that's subjective. By crazy, I mean, I eat weird things and, I've seen certain things, but I don't hallucinate. The things I see interact with the environment that they're in. I do this very scientifically. So they're not hallucinations. Same. Well, thanks for being here and sharing. It helps me be able to do this. And I don't want to do this for too long. We're going to jump into the CERN aspect in a minute here. But yeah, I saw a lot of things, and I think that they all tie into this retro causality that some of us are experiencing. My life has always been that way. I've had my cause and effect have been backwards to everybody else, but I think that's why I'm able to see the workings of the spirit realm, if that makes sense, because as above, so below, we are a reflection of God. God made us in his image, so we're a reflection. And what's in a reflection? Well, reflection can be kind of backwards. We do things down here probably in a backwards type of way compared to God. Hello. Thank you for being here. I personally saw the slit eyes with a witness. Yeah. I've had strange experiences with that one, because you think you see it and then it's gone, and I've not had anyone else with me so I don't count that. But yeah, they've come up with this whole condition now that and I'm telling you, the psychiatric industry, anyone that wears a white coat, that's what they traded in for like their wizard's capes. Like those people are the sorcerers of today. As above, so below is the saying of Baphomet, did you know? Well, let me be real here again. My mom was into the occult. That's why I'm able to know when somebody's trying to put a spell on me and these types of things. But again, she wasn't open about it. It was just something people of that generation seem to have gotten stuck into with like the Ouija boards and all that type of stuff. I've repented. I go to confession. I go to church. Not that that makes me a good person, because it doesn't, but it helps keep me in line. But I'm going to be honest, when my job is to bring a light and shine it onto these things, we cannot be afraid of what they say. As above, so below is a saying that's also in the Our Father, because we say, as on earth, as in heaven, so on earth. If you bind a thing on earth, it's bound in heaven. As above, so below. It's true. Just because it comes from Baphomet doesn't make it false necessarily. Okay, I'm just being real. I dislike Baphomet. I don't have any liking for any demonic things. But again, God created all these beings. They all come from God. So I'm very careful when I rebuke I try not to use names unless I have to, unless I know that that's one that's attacking me or whatever you want to call it. Because again, I think certain things have been mixed up down here, okay? Angels allegedly are androgynous. That doesn't mean humans should be, but they allegedly are, okay? I think we have a lot of fallen ones down here masquerading as human beings, and that's where this confusion is coming from. Allegedly, angels don't have a gender, right? They can take the form of a man, I believe, like on the show Supernatural. I think that's true. They have to have your consent to be able to do it. And I allegedly met a fallen angel. Now, this person introduced himself to me as that. Whether or not he actually was, that is up for debate. And no, the strange things started happening before I ever knew this person even existed. So anyone that wants to say, wow, well, there's your answer. No, this has been my life, but it all kind of amped up when I started having the dreams of floods and earthquakes in 2017. So that's why I do this, because God asked me to do this. But I'm not going to lie. As above, so below. Yeah, it comes from the occult, but it is a true statement. And again, that's what I'm trying to tell people. You can't follow mainstream, okay? Anything that trends in mainstream, anything that, even mainstream Christianity, there's something wrong with all of it. It seems to be when people get in a big mass, you get mob mentality. And so I'm saying that there is something wrong with every any man-made institution is going to be wonky anyway, because man is confused down here in this place, right? We don't quite know what's going on all the time. So man's going to be confused regardless. That's going to be a thing. But again, I don't want to get into a debate. Is it still going? Is anyone here? Yeah, they like to mess with me. They're going to start that again now, I guess. I don't know. Okay, so, oh, there you are. So what I was going to do originally was look into augmented reality. And then I was like, well, wait, we were going to look into quantum computers anyway. That's something that goes along with the CERN thing. And I really do believe that I have a good theory in the CERN trying to capture angelic and or demonic energies and trying to capture it and trap it. Jesus' disciples asked a heavenly thing. Jesus asked them, how can you understand heavenly things if you don't understand earthly things? Right. And again, I try not to put my own bias out there in these videos. I am at a different place in my walk than pretty much anyone I've ever met. I have no one to commiserate with. But in a lot of ways, that's a good thing. The secular world will tell you it's not a good thing to be isolated and alone, but for some of us, that's what we need. When I'm around too many people at this point in time, it's too painful, spiritually speaking, and physically for me. It's too loud in my head. I swear. And again, when I'm going over things in the video, it's for the sake of anyone watching. It doesn't mean that I'm that far ahead, that advanced, or that I'm, a kindergartner or a preschooler, as far as this goes. I'm at my own place, and I'm trying not to force that on anyone else either, because that's not my job. I will share my experiences, but I'm not going to say, like, I'm better than you, I'm less than you, I'm further than you, When you have isolation, God grants visions. That's why shepherds end up as prophets, right? And y'all know I've seen a lot of things, and I've delivered a lot of messages from the Lord on the original channel that are now coming to pass. People like Michelle, like Katia, Denise, these people can confirm that they've been with me since the very beginning. They've seen this happen. Right. At this point in time, I want other people to know they're not alone. I want to be doing my job, and I want people to be ready. We all have a purpose, right? And I feel like this is my purpose. because I do have a big mouth and I don't mind sharing with people. It's embarrassing, don't get me wrong, like it's mortifying just getting up every day and going to work in the town where I know people operated against me and behind my back. I mean, I was actually physically told when this began, we had a meeting about you last night. And I was like, what? Like, that's when I was just like, what are you talking about? And this came from a loved one. And that was the only like hint that I got at the time. None of what was happening. I was like, this is all strange. Why are they behaving this way? So when Christ says, if you don't understand earthly things, you don't understand heavenly things. Again, he's referring to where you're at in your spiritual walk. Are you a baby or are you matured? And what do you need to get from A to B, right? It's not to put anyone down or signal anyone out either way. I'll shut up now and listen. Let me know if you have technical computing questions. Oh, you don't have to shut up. I'm so glad that you don't. I'm embarrassed when you're here, though, because I'm learning all this stuff. Like, I'm not good at how this goes together, but I seem to be being led to a place, which is cool. So I wanted to know about augmented reality, right? Is it my fault that I'm seeing these things? Are other people seeing them too? Is it just me? Is it like back in the day? Is it something that prophets go through? Or, thank you, I wish I was financially independent. I'm on disability. I didn't quote unquote have to get a job. And it's physical disability. It has nothing to do with my mental status. So any armchair psychiatrists or trolls that are here watching, don't save it. Like, I'm not even going to go there with you people anymore. And that's the gaslighting of when I was looking up something like, loved ones being replaced, like you saw in, God, what was that 70s movie? The Pod People, right? So I was looking that up, and there's all this stuff about this condition, and none of it's old. Like, it's all very new, all of these links. And some of them, like, it really, they flooded it at like 2017 with like this condition. You know what I mean? And no, I don't have options because I don't drive and I don't have family left and I don't have friends left anymore. But God told me to stand firm, and he told me that prey runs, and I'm not prey. I'm not supposed to run. And somehow, some way, I'm standing in the gap for someone else, or more than someone else. I don't know. God told me to be a witness, so that's what I'm being, to the best of my personal ability. Yeah. So let's continue. I wanted to know if augmented reality was affected by these, like, is it something physical, like matter, right, that you can, and maybe Davis would be able to touch base on this, like, does it actually affect physical reality or just the reality of the internet? You know what I mean? The internet of things. Does it just mess with your devices, or does it come out into the world? Okay, now I'm going to touch on another thing that we're building on here. 2 years ago, I gave a prophetic word, and another channel gave the same word almost at the same time. And it was about things that you watch on the screen coming to be. That is happening now. I'm seeing it with Netflix. But especially Netflix. And when all this stuff started, my kickoff events, I told you there were things that the Lord, just stuff in my surroundings, in my home, that were highlighted. Like, somebody took a magic marker and physically highlighted books, phrases, physical objects that were in my home, just very weird things. And I was able to find things that, like, I can't get into all that with you guys, but this is what the channel is about, is me building trust. So you're like, okay, this woman is actually going through these things. She's scientifically testing them. She knows it's not hallucinations, because these events and these individuals are physically interacting with the environment. So it's not that, right? So I'm trying to eliminate all these things. And then the Sherry Shriner. When I first looked up soul swapping, that's because I couldn't figure out another way to say it. That's who I found. And a lot of the stuff that she knew somehow is stuff that I knew. But I have suspicions about her, and I'm not going to get into that right now. I disagree with her on a few very key things, but I'll continue. So that's the goal, is it actually, can it affect physical reality? Like, are these computers not what we've been told? And it's my theory that this black goo is operating the AI through the devices. You have to be able to discern what's real and fake. It's fuzzy and depends on your perspective. Reality can appear in a kind of super... Right. And see, I don't know, reality, like, we have to trust Christ. And yeah, that's not my... And again, that's not... I trust Christ. The whole point is about pulling other people in and saying, look, God is working. You can see it in science. Science is the footprint of God, right? And God works in numbers. And if you look at sacred geometry, everything is numbers, right? God is word and numbers, okay? Basically, the spoken word, for every spoken word, there's probably a symbol or number behind it of God's when he said, let there be light, right? When you write it down, those are the symbols, like Hebrew or Aramaic or Sumerian, especially Egyptian. I trust Christ. That's not the point. There's a point to doing this. And it's not that I don't trust Christ. It's to say, hey, look, God is alive. We have a living God, and he's trying to talk to us through these events and through these different things. And I have a theory about the Mandela effect too, that God's trying to speak through that, and he's doing very specific things very purposely. like Luke, I am your father. That's very purposeful. That's very intentional. Why did I say purposeful? I don't even believe that's a word. Everyone just started saying it. Anyways, so does the LHC use quantum computing? And I didn't know. When I pulled up LHCs, or what was it? When I pull up quantum computers, look, guys, it's CERN. And this is also, in this first image, you see a giant one of these on a bigger scale. In the Black Mirror episode that I talk about, that I did the video about, because I said, oh my God, that girl is me. That's the stuff I've been going through. She even dyed her hair like I used to dye mine. So yeah, that is an episode of them demonstrating a giant quantum computer affecting physical reality. But the problem there is that these beings didn't realize they weren't the real reality. They were, a superimposed reality, that they were digital creations. They were copies. They weren't actual organic beings. Okay. And then so when this girl destroys this, you see all these versions disappear, and what's left is one normal girl, or actually two semi-normal looking people. They're not stars. It's not Selma Hayek. It's just a regular girl. I did not know, because again, I'm not a science girl, physics girl, I'm not. I didn't know that this was the deal. But now I know. So let's go ahead and do... I was going to do hypnosis too, but I figured I would do this first. How many quantum computers are there in the world? IBM alone has over 20 quantum computers, okay? This, again, is funny because I looked at this real quick before I showed you guys. In addition, there are quantum computers in scientific laboratories and supercomputer centers at universities and so on worldwide. These are also among the customers to which AQT and IQM sell their products. Hold, please. It would be really messed up if most of the people, and I've played this theory out a lot for you guys this last 6 months, and I've tried to show you how this is happening in our mainstream. Even on Church Militant, this guy they talk from Poland, it's quite obviously he's an AI news guy. Like, I don't know. Are they using them because they're not supposed to lie during all this? Like, I don't know. I think it's to make it look like there's a lot more people here than there are. But I think they're already doing this on the screen, and they're using it to like create these virtual stars, celebrities, whatever, anyone on the screen, just to make it look like we have a higher population than we actually have. And I think the earth is a lot different than we've been told too. Do I trust Christ and what the Bible says? Absolutely. But there's a lot that's not said in there. Like a lot. Hi. Like there's a lot that is entirely missing. And I learn more about Christ's walk in life from what is not written down, from his actions. Like I said, Christ didn't write anything. He wrote once that we know of in scripture, and that was in the sand, and he was able to blow that away. My question is, do we even need supercomputers? All of these things are happening. God's word does come to life. Here's my theory. I think it's the Antichrist's way. I think it's one of his signs and wonders. This is where me and Davis will really part ways. And again, I don't have any personal problem with you. And I like your information, and I like that you share, and I like you as a person. But I do not believe God can work. God is using the technology against them, right? The fallen angels, if the technology was theirs to begin with, whose was it originally then? Well, it was the angels and God's technology. It belonged to God. Now, whatever he called it, I don't know, but I mean, in a nutshell, there it is. It's no, it sourced from the maker. God is Father, Mother, our heavenly parentals, whatever you choose to insert there yourself. I believe the Antichrist is making it appear as if, because I did a video on this, on how the Antichrist, it says the lawless one. I don't think it's man's laws that this one disobeys. It's obviously God's laws, but I think it will look like the laws of physics. I think the Antichrist signs and wonders are whatever's being put out in our reality through quantum computers. They are making other scripts come to life in the background, like Netflix movies. Netflix is really big in on it. They're making those scripts come to life to overshadow the Bible, or to make people question and wonder, hey, is it all, every word that's written has the potential to come to pass? Or is it just, the Bible? Right, that's what I'm saying. I don't believe AI is Christ either. I believe AI is the Antichrist. Well, part of Christ's system, whatever. But the actual being is using this, and this is his signs and wonders. This is, in a nutshell, this is what this research is about, is can an augmented form of reality be generated through a powerful enough computer? And I think the answer could be yes. Now, stand with me for a second. If you walk down the streets of New York every day, right? Which are not as crowded, nearly as crowded as they used to be. But if you do that, how many people do you actually think there are? How many of those people are you physically touching? Yeah, some that are close to you, right? But how many of those people do you physically touch? Are they close enough that you can touch them, feel them, see them, smell them, lick them if you wanted to? It makes me wonder, like, are we walking around with holograms? Like, and how long has that been going on? Serious, like I know that sounds weird, and I know people don't want to say, oh, we've been fooled or we've been really badly deceived, but you guys have heard some of my other theories and videos, and that's what I want to know is, what are these things capable of? Okay. IBM has one that's called Osprey. It is the most powerful, okay? I find this telling. Look at that little part right there. But IBM hasn't yet released details about how it performs. So they're not talking. Its previous device, the 127-qubit Eagle, so they're all named after birds, and the owl thing that relates to aliens, again, people have to read their Bibles because, what is it? Psalm 96, the one that keeps you healthy, the one that banishes diseases and whatnot. It talks about remaining under the habitation of God's feathers. It's said more eloquently than that, obviously, but people really need to ponder what's going on here. They're not aliens. They're what they used to call angels, and they used to interact with us almost freely. That's why they're in paintings. And again, I'm trying really hard to not let my personal bias affect, what I say. So again, and here's the next telling thing. We talked about this in the last video about how so many things kicked off with this in 2017, 16, 18 with Berkeley. Now this is where Berkeley is also where they were storing antimatter. And while they were storing this little bit of antimatter, allegedly things went off the hook and they had protests and everything caught fire. That was when they were storing antimatter. So not only did they have antimatter there, but they also have the world's most powerful quantum computer to date. 3 different types of them, allegedly. Again, I'm not the science girl. We're researching together. Superconducting, one of the most popular types of quantum computers, is a superconducting qubit quantum computer. You have photonic, neutroatoms, trapped ions. Okay, let's see what this is. Because again, I'm not super bright when it comes to science stuff. I try. To me, again, though, it's the proof of God. So that's why I do this. And I do it, again, so people know they're not alone. I mean, I know I have to trust Christ, but do other people know that? They don't know that. So we try to show them God working. And God is using their devices against them. He's using this technology against them. Point being, though, He wouldn't be talking to us so much through them. If we weren't on them so much, He'd be doing it through our physical reality. We have all of us, myself included, definitely, we all have a real false reliance upon these things. And it's going to be sad that when the end comes, when some type of thing kicks off, and it's going to be because people don't have their internet. It won't be because of food. It'll be because at first they don't have any internet. They won't know what to do without Google. And that's just a fact. That's just the truth. And I do think AI, I would call the black goo the beast. And I would say that is what they're referring to as AI. But I think AI, I don't like that term to begin with, because intelligence isn't artificial. What does that mean when you call intelligence artificial? Like, even if it, computers, it still comes from, a knowledge base. So I don't, this stuff throws me. It really does, some of it. Not in a confused type way, just a way of, that's not my niche, right? They have the potential to solve certain types of problems faster, and we know this, but how do they work? Okay. So they're not binary, which is 0, 1, 0, 1s. Quantum computer utilize quantum bits or qubits, like qubit, which can be used in superposition of zeros and ones. Okay. We're okay so far. In quantum computers, which represent the manipulate information in quantum states. So like an information packet, like Einstein was referring to when we were looking at light rays the other day, are the basic building blocks. Okay, so you start there. That builds your foundation. In contrast to classical bits, which can only exist in one state at a time, qubits, and here, wow, qubits can exist in multiple probabilistic states. That's telling too. Like a copy of a copy of a copy. And hold up. When a person does that, when a person is in more than one state at the same time, that's called Schrodinger's cat. It's not possible to happen. However, it has happened in the past. Certain saints have been able to do it, and they call it bilocation. So that's interesting to me. The quantum computer can perform simultaneous. Why around with fake hologram people? That's so deep and believable for me. What a great deception. Right? Like, that's what I think. Even when we see like the protests, like, how long have they been showing those France videos with the yellow vest protests? Seriously, like, I'm sick of seeing them. If that's all they're doing over there, who is like cooking and who's cleaning and like who's doing the stuff? If they're free to do that all the time, every day. Like, as France like falling apart, like, what does it actually look like at this point? Because they've been doing that since Wall Street. It's been a long, hot minute. And that's what tipped me off when Terry Davis said they glow in the dark. They're agents, man. They're agents. This is why when we try to go someplace, like I went to leave one day to ride my bike, and I guess I said aloud where I was going, and it was going to be a deviation from my normal routine. And that day, no kidding, there was like a truck at every friggin' intersection. And I live in a small town. You guys have seen my walk and talks. Like there at every road, there was a person holding a sign. It was bad. When one is the only one that can see all one's life, what is the world doing with that one? That's what I don't. That's what I'm like. This is weird, dude. Like, why are I just listened to a creepy pasta like that, and it was like certain people, the quote unquote real people, the Trumans, were being shown things purposely by the other things wandering around like it was part of their game, right? And I mean, I'd get bored too if I knew I'd never make it to heaven and I knew my lot forever and there was no way getting around it. I guess if I was a demon, I would do things to have fun too. But again, they still have to work at God's. That's something I'm having a hard time with, though. They don't have free will, but they had free will to disobey. There's certain things here in the theology that I got to get clear for myself. The quantum computer can perform simultaneous parallel computations on an enormous number of possibilities thanks to this property. Gee, I don't know, like when they do projections for elections, like that, doing a bunch of those at one time. That's a real that's a game changer for behavioral therapists. Like you could really predict somebody's behavior pretty quickly if you had a quantum computer. Because that's another thing, like that's what I'm getting out of this is you could do something like that. You could do more than that, but I'm saying like that's what come to my mind. Quantum computing also relies on the concept of entanglement. There it is. I knew it was coming. In entanglement, two or more qubits are correlated in such a way that the state of one qubit is affected by the state of the other. Now, we know this is true for people. And again, scripture does tell us too that, hold up, you're not innocent either. You know, you might not have done that with that person, but you pushed them off the cliff, or you tempted them, or you just stood by and did nothing. That's why no one's supposed to think too much of themselves here. Nobody's better than anybody else, right? I don't like this part though. Regardless of the fact that they are physically separated, there are certain individuals that I forgive and I pray to love them and I pray good things for them and it helps. But there are certain individuals I never ever want to see again. So I really don't want to even believe that quantum entanglement is a real thing. Actually, you can't, like, how could you believe that? Because if I'm in heaven or paradise or Eden and you're in the other place. Here we go. Quantum computing can theoretically read the history of our ashes, much like God. Now I worry I did something in a daydream. Follow the blank. I've been wondering about that lately. Life is like a dream. It really actually is. Now, I believe that human beings are conductors. We hear about water all the time being a source of energy and being a conductor for energy. And we are 1/3 water. Our physical matter, our makeup is made up of water, and water is life. So we are energy. So the fact that we have to pay an energy bill, like right now, like I can't even express to you the frustration that I'm the only one who is irritated by these things at this point. God has brought me such a sense of peace and joy and just resilience over the last few years. I could not be more grateful. But I have to hope. I have to keep my self in check, and I have to hope that what I'm feeling is righteous anger. Because as much as I want to pray for these people and love these people, this has been done intentionally, and they're literally destroyers of dreams. How many people have lived their lives in shambles and never got to even just sit down and read a book they wanted to read, weren't taught how to read? I just can't even. It seems like a severe injustice, but I know that all things even out in every faith system. Even the Egyptians thought so. That's why they had the scales of justice. And that's what I try to do, is find the commonalities, because it's very hard for me to love my enemies if I can't find something about them to like. So I look for something that they might have that I have, right? Or that I have that they might have. Anyways, photonic. So we kind of get, when using superconducting qubits, gate operations can be performed quickly. We know, well, some of you who've been here a while know that gates are really big in my scope of vision, in my daily life. That word comes up a lot. Portals, like, this is just a thing, and I don't know. I'm actually starting to wonder if some of us didn't go through a portal, or something doesn't happen, and that's why we're experiencing all this retro causality. And there are people out there saying that retro causality doesn't even exist. It's not even a thing. And there are people of the occult, like it's on the occult pages. Under spells by claiming to understand how to spell, right? When one comprehended to get A's and B's, seemed to stay in line of the education. When one comprehends how to get A's and B's, they seem to stay in line. Understand spells by claiming to understand how to spell. I get that, but not everybody understands those things. You know what I mean? Know what I mean, Bean? Okay, photonic. These types of quantum computers use photons, particles of light. This is the one I'm really interested in right now. To carry and process quantum information, and there's some nuance and complexity to how this works, which Richard Murray, CEO of photonic-based Orca Computing, explains here in an exclusive interview with the Quantum Insider. For large-scale quantum computers, photonic qubits are a promising alternative to, what does that say? Trapped ions and neutral atoms that require cryogenic or laser cooling. Hold, please. That says a lot right there. And again, I think my theory might actually prove out. They are actually trapping ions, right? And using packets of light, and angels are light frequencies. Light as it, and remember, when something is said, there's more than a double entendre. It goes three ways, like the Trinity. All things are three. Every verse in the Bible, every story they put out in mainstream, especially, it's not what they're telling you. You gotta just look at the picture, forget what they're saying, and then you gotta listen to some of the words and listen to the keywords. Let your discernment start to operate. But you have to go through a type of sensory deprivation with yourself. You either have to cover your eyes and just listen, and then you plug your ears and just watch. You know what I mean? Like, that is how you build your discernment. And I know it sounds weird, but these are things you do. And some people will say, well, that's occultic. You know, they do certain things with blindfolds, this, that, and the other. Listen. There's a reason some of these people are further advanced spiritually than we are. Christ expected us to work to get there. He expected all of us to be able to do what he did. That's the whole point, is for us to not to fear death. And they're starting to be able to explain the resurrection process through things like quantum mechanics. The three only cover the one. The three only cover the one. I'm not sure what you're referring to there. But anyways, so angels, angelic beings, are lighter physically. They don't have any mass like we have. They're not, okay, let's put it a different way. I do believe that they have mass, but it's not like ours, okay? We are bound by gravity. Angels are not. I don't think demons are bound by like lower like they're very low, right? Which is why, again, I believe the physical manifestation of the demonic is the black goop, the ferrofluid. Okay, so where am I at? Photonics is a very good example of how photonics is a general category used to bucket quantum computers. Xanadu's squeeze light approach is materially different from Psi-Quantum's approach, for example. Beings, angels, not God. The three only cover the one. When you have like Father, Son, Holy Spirit, right? which I believe the Holy Spirit is the representation of the divine feminine. And yes, I'm a Christian, but no, I'm not going to get into that with anyone in this video. In another one, sure. I don't have anything to hide. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to agree with me. I'm not down with some of the stuff that's going on with gender out there right now and kids and stuff. But again, I think we're being psyoped. They are making a mockery of certain godly, holy things. And they're making a mockery of it because they're only understanding it physically, literally. The Bible is not just a physical, literal thing. It's spirit, right? It's spirit-filled. Not just the Bible. There are a couple other ancient texts that tell a lot of the same stories, flood stories, all of it, from a different cultural perspective. Okay? I'm not down with holy wars. I don't sit here and fight with people. Today, the Pope just blessed civil unions. Did you hear about that? I did, and that's the thing. Like a civil union. Let's be careful with our wording too. That a civil union. Like I was married in a civil union when I was away from the church. It's when you know, a judge or a justice of the peace or whatever marries you and not a priest. So if he's blessing all civil unions, that's actually a good thing for me. However, you cannot bless sin. You cannot bless sin. And we know this, right? And I know people bring up these things just because they want to start something on the channel or they want to hit a nerve. Listen, I have loved ones in every paradigm that are lost right now, that I love very much, that I pray for and wish no harm comes to them, okay? That doesn't mean I have to agree with their lifestyles. Yeah, I saw that. And again, it doesn't mean I have to agree with their lifestyles. We're not, and I already said that, we're not supposed to bless sin, any kind of sin, no matter what it is, right? I'm not going to be that person. You're not going to come to my channel and I'm not going to promote hate. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not the Pope. I disagree with what he did. But according to a lot of the catechism, I would have to be remarried. So it's something I'm struggling with right now as somebody who's trying to come back to the church. Listen, I don't think we should be gatekeepers to God either. Like there's a point, right? But I'm not a priest, and I'm not an expert in anything, in science and health. I'm not any of those things. I'm just a person trying to walk this out like everybody else. But if you're trying to like pop something off on my channel, I'll just start blocking people again, because I'm not going to fight. Like, I don't do that here. I just don't. And you can go through my videos and see I have a pretty clear stance on things. But there's a right and a wrong way to, deliver the message. And I think that's the wrong way. Again, there are certain ways to go about this. I pray for them. I hope the best for them. But I don't agree with their lifestyles, my loved ones that are there. Right. Well, and that's the thing though, is that really what it is? In some of the scriptures, it talks about the angels being of an androgynous nature, but that's the angels, right? That's not human beings. And again, I think we are being fooled, not we, but a lot of the public who don't know God or, never were blessed to hear the gospel yet, or didn't want to hear it and close their ears to it. We're dealing with the physical manifestations of that now. Like, this is what's happening because we've denied the existence of a divine feminine or a mother. This is what's happening. You're seeing that manifestation of everyone going to the one end of the spectrum instead of the other. These are all physical manifestations of our spiritual problems as a society. But it's also, like I said, we're being psyoped by beings here that do not have our best interest at heart, although they are still working for God, even if they don't know it. Trapped ions. A trapped ion quantum computer involves using atoms or molecules with a net of electrical charge, known as ions, that are trapped and manipulated using electric and magnetic fields to store and process quantum information. Hold, please. I'm starting to really get concerned about this because what could you trap? You could almost trap any being depending on their frequency or the frequency that they needed at that time. Like you could almost trap. Okay, so what I'm thinking of here, anyone that saw Snowpiercer, and in the end, how he got to the front of the train and the engine looked like a quantum computer, like we see in the cover of CERN, like my thumbnail. He gets there, and what's running it is a child, because only a child was small enough to be in there and pedal that thing to keep the whatever it was running, to keep it operating. And it just really makes me wonder, like, when they show us pictures of CERN and you have the guy giggling as he's holding up the paper that says Mandela effect, before it ever happened, it just makes me laugh that people can't see that's somebody trying to manipulate them. That term came from them, right? Like, it came from them. It would be really unfortunate if we found out we were, us beings, if we found out that we were trapped in a very similar way and being used as energy sources. Because I've thought that for a long time, and I've mentioned it in several videos now. But I'm not the science girl, so I don't have the scientific brain to figure out how that works. Quantum dots, these are being used in tattoos now. We've went over this. A quantum dot quantum computer uses silicon qubits made up of pairs of quantum dots. In theory, for quantum computers, such coupled quantum dots could be used as robust quantum bits or qubits. Companies focused on this area include Dirac, Sequence, and Quantum Motion. Somebody needs to remind me to look these companies up. Can I copy them? Go down. Come on, goober. Oh my gosh. There we go. Thank you. I forget all this stuff by the end of the video. Okay, other approaches. Other alternatives to building a work table type of a quantum computer include electrons on helium. Again, I went over this, guys. Helium is something at the place where I work that is in high demand. In town, it's a low resource right now. They blame CV. They're blaming all of it on CV, everything, even cards. Like, what, really? This is why I wonder, like, okay, where'd all the workers go? Like, where'd everybody go? Or were they ever here to begin with? And I'm really wondering, hold please, somebody a couple of months ago, well, like 6 months ago, somebody got really mad at me because I said I don't believe in clones. But I mean, I'm not going to debate it right now. I give reasons why. But I say that even if they do exist, I don't consent to them being, in my reality for as far and as wide as my territory goes, because that's how I always pray. And it's like that person, it's like it's like that you could hear them, no, like they're really angry that I don't believe in clones. Like I actually had some authority. But there does seem to be a whole lot less people running around. Even in people's videos. Like, how is New York not flooded with people? Watch a movie from the 80s that they allegedly filmed in the streets of New York. So they're always filming there. That's what they do there. We got to start thinking, because I don't think cameras have been what we were told either. I shared a really good movie that, if nothing else, it's a good thought experiment. It might expand your mind into like what I'm trying to get into. It's called The Frame. You should look it up on Tubi or YouTube. Funny thing is, when I watched it on Tubi, it stopped right where it got important. So watch it on YouTube. And it's free. Okay, so when can we expect the rise of this? Well, we already know that helium is low. We already know that gas, they're being funny with gas. And we already know that they're telling us chips, right, are not in high abundance either. And above here, I think it did tell us that one of these, yeah, they use silicon qubits, their dots and coupled and chips. Another one actually uses chips somewhere. Okay. So now we have, like, we're familiarized with the topic. We understand that they're out there. They're pretty. Now, does NASA have one? Oh, jeez. NASA's Ames Research Center in California, Silicon Valley, is the heart of the agency's advanced computing efforts, including its exploration and research of quantum computing. So what if like half the people in California are just holograms? Like wouldn't it, okay, I want to know if they can generate something like that. Why don't we use quantum? So even the smallest particular vibration can cause them to behave chaotically. Not to mention that in a large system with many qubits, such as quantum computer, there are bound to be a few errors in the state of the qubits. Gee, I wonder how many errors they're dealing with at NASA and CERN. How much faster? 1,000,000 times faster, of course, because it's much better, right? Oh my gosh, where's China's at? So declaring their device, Hua Zhang. Where's it at? I want to know where it's at. Can I buy a quantum computer? Yes, it's possible. However, quantum computers are not yet widely available to the general public and are currently very expensive and extremely difficult to manufacture. Does Elon Musk have one? I'm sure he does. Okay, so we're going to have to look at the D wave. That's what's next. Can a computer... Wow. A quantum computer built using giant atoms controlled by laser light may be enough to imitate some functions of the brain, such as memory and decision making. Which reminds me a lot of the NPCs we see running around now. I say that they're people that lost their free will, but wow. And you know, magnets, all you got to really do to erase the memory on a computer is have some really large magnets. That's why you couldn't keep them near your little CD players as kids. You can't keep them near your cell phones. Magnets can erase a memory pretty effectively, although it has to be the right size. All right, so we know about Osprey. The other thing that I wanted to look up. How many are there in the U.S.? Here's where the U.S. really dominates, with several leading quantum computing companies, many of them leading corporations from the classical computing industry. Examples of these, such as IBM and its research and production. See, IBM is the only one they're really touting about this. The U.S. has 350 plus private quantum computing companies. Why are they private? France, of course. Canada, of course. It really makes me wonder. Like, I'm starting to really wonder about things. Like, when they show you news in another country, they always show you the same two roads or streets or doorway. Always. Even movies I watch that are from the Brits now, it's always the same two streets, and it's not a set. Like, I'm really starting to wonder how big our realm is. All right, Google, IBM, Rigetti Computing, no kidding. That hits a personal note. IonQ, D-Wave Systems, Alibaba, Xanadu, I knew those. Honeywell, Zapata, I never heard of those. And Cambridge. Look at the names, huh? All right, so. Could a D-Wave computer generate holograms? I'm just curious. I know that's not like a big deal, but I'm curious. Computer-generated holography. Oh, gosh. Let's see what Wikipedia has to say about it. And then we'll end this video. I apologize, Sammy's snoring. I don't like them being super long now. But again, we're building on several different things. The next video is going to be types of hypnosis. And I have a short or two coming. Not like a literal short, but like short uploads. So watch for them, because when a live stream gets uploaded, then the other ones are hidden. Computer-generated holography, they actually have a term for it, CGH, is the method of digitally generating, yeah, I know what it is. A holographic image can be generated by digitally computing a holographic interference pattern and printing it onto a mask interesting word choice there, or film for subsequent illumination by a suitable coherent light source. Okay, so like say the sun, if you wanted to make the streets of a certain area look more populated on, I don't know, a newscast, and you did it outside, and you had a D-Wave computer, could you generate fake people? Because I'm seeing a lot of sidewalks are being built with certain things in them now too. It's very telling and weird. Alternatively, the holographic image can be brought to life by a holographic 3D display, a display which operates on the basis of interference of coherent light, bypassing the need of having to fabricate a hard copy of the holographic interference pattern each time. So basically, they could say, make a hologram of, I don't know, POTUS, the president. And then they could just use it all the time. They don't even have to have the real one. Just as long as they got his images copied, once, they got his basic gestures down, nodding, saying no, saying a few phrases. Gee, I don't know, especially if people's messaging apps were being hijacked by AI, and just by using them, you give your consent for them to use your voice. Find somewhere 5,000 meters above sea level. Yeah. If I could fly, I would. Consequently, in recent times, the term computer-generated holography is increasingly being used to denote the whole process chain of synthetically preparing holographic light wavefronts suitable for observation. Well, we know a few years ago, Lady Gaga did it for a Super Bowl commercial, but we know it's been a possibility for a long time. It was always a holographic television. There was never anyone there. Yeah, I like, am I the last one to catch on to that? Like, seriously, I want to know. Am I really the last person? Because, like, you see actors and they seem to be real people and they allegedly have real lives, but honestly, I've never seen any of them in person. Not one. And I've went to a few concerts, but again, I wasn't up super close. They look like the people they were supposed to be. It's pretty wild when your framework of life falls apart, and it continues to happen daily. Okay, so there it is. Displays a wide range of applications from CAD to gaming, holographic video and TV programs, automotive, and communication, which we know. To improve the resolving power on electron microscopes, an object is illuminated with a coherent monochromatic light beam. The scattered light is brought to... So basically, okay. So this is where it gets weird too, and it ripples outward. We're down here. We are physical manifestations. We allegedly will have a light body once God. Our memories of them as a screen. It's likely there I made stars in one's mind, kind of like Mount Rushmore. Huh. Maybe. I don't know. I'm still taken aback by our language barrier here. I do apologize. Things get lost in translation. So, hold on. I was looking at something there real quick. An object illuminated with computation of our encoding the wavefront. Reconstruction. So there it is. And like Willy Wonka did this, and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory too. But I mean, could we, walking down the streets, is it so refined at this point? Could we, real people, allegedly, be fooled by these holograms? However, I often refer to us as being light waves. We are, like our original body is a light wave. And we are only bound to gravity because of the matter that we are made of. I believe we're supposed to be able to transmute like Christ did. That's the goal. You don't have to agree with me. You can think he did it all. That's fine. Personally, I think, there's work involved. I don't believe in a works-based salvation per se. I just think once you're saved, there's work to do, right? If you want to continue on and you actually want to be like Christ and you want to overcome and defeat death. And I think it has everything to do with quantum mechanics and quantum physics right now. I think that is the best way to explain to people how to make this possible without the need for any crazy surgeries or any of that stuff. Again, I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. I'm not doing that. This is all spiritually based. I know what I'm going to do. I know what I've found to be true at this point. I know how to make my own light frequency lighter, physically and literally and spiritually speaking, metaphorically speaking. But I don't know that other people even care or want to do it. So it's something I don't share all the time. Did I find the way? I believe I did. But it requires a really big change in people's lifestyles. Most people don't want to do that. They just don't want to change. And they want to say, I've got Christ, I believe. Well, that's fine. But faith without works is dead. That's death. Now, is it so, let's see. What would you need, to physically have? Would you need, the sidewalks to be able to do this? It would have to be something above, almost. Like Starlink, maybe. Okay. So we're going to stop here, but we're going to look at specifically the D-Wave computer. Here's my theory on that, and I've said this before, I think. I'm not nearly as smart as you. I need you to help me through some of this, because I'm drowning a little bit in some of it. Why did Eve rename to Doe? Is that a joke? All about Eve, the upstart PC brand, struggling payback, jilted. What is this about? Oh, I see. I was like, what? Stop war now. That's a really good thing to say. Of course, war should always be stopped. D-Wave is the leader in the development and delivery of quantum computing systems, software, and services. Maintenance. I think they have to be kept cold. I think that's the big thing. La la la. I watched a thing, I think it was Gordy Rose and Elon Musk, or one of them, or both of them, and the actual computer. This is scary. My questions are being deleted. Yeah, I told you, I'm a nobody. I don't know why they bother me so much. Well, I mean, I do. It's because I tell the truth about stuff that's happening to myself and to others and, just in general. D-Wave, Amazon bracket quantum computers. What? Are they? I don't want to know. I just don't want to know. They're all in bed with each other. You can't get away from any of them. And Google has me really irritated lately. I've tried taking it out of my phone and it won't let you. And I just want to listen to music and I plug my earbuds in. And every time the wind blows, the voice assistant prompt turns on. And now I don't know what to do. If I turn it back on, then she starts talking in the middle of my music. But I'm still getting my music interrupted. It's ridiculous. And they could do stuff like this, though, right? I just want to note Gordy Rose. There he is. Now, Gordy Rose himself said, if you did not see Richie from Boston's thing about that, he himself said, we are going to we are summoning the demons, and these beings don't really care. They look at you like an ant. Gordy Rose, ironically enough, also looks like Jack Black, I think. I really just do. I don't know why. This is what my question is. Delete 7 times. I'll email you. Okay, please do. And I don't have moderators or anything, so that's why I don't have moderators, because weird stuff started happening then. So I don't do the whole moderator thing. And I don't have any comments turned off. I don't censor, so it's on YouTube's end. I apologize. I'm just glad people were able to comment at all today. Okay, so here's my theory. I'm going to give you this theory at the end of this video, and we'll talk about this in the next quantum video, okay? Because again, all this stuff goes together, and we're trying to weave a tapestry here. The theory is that D-Wave computers have to be kept super cold, okay? My theory is that hell is cold. Hades is not hot. It is not fire. God is a consuming fire. You have the lake of fire for refinement purposes, I believe. I think hell is cold because it's separation from God. And then I told you about how allegedly a fallen angel I dealt with, well, had dreamt of, I don't know. There was a couple of these experiences with me. The sleeping ones don't happen anymore because I don't consent to them any longer. That's how you stop the alien abduction thing. And that's a psyop too. It's not real. I mean, it is real for us who go through it, but it's not aliens. As much as people want it to be, it's not. Development of D-Wave computers. They have to be kept super cold. It is my theory that Tartarus, is cold. Very, very cold. Okay? Nothing but ice. An ice kingdom. And I think demons are more cold, right? You ever enter a room and like they say it's a ghost and it gets cold, you're chilly and the hair on your neck stands up. That's a lower level entity. So I believe they are actually using, I believe that the D-Wave computer is basically a electric Ouija board. And they're pulling stuff through there. Kind of like Stranger Things, if you've seen it. But yeah. And that's the question, isn't it? Are they actually doing this stuff? Are we living in Stranger Things, or are they just psyoping us to scare us? Either way, the answer remains the same. No fear. Educate yourself. But don't get too worked up about any of it. Don't have any attachments other than love. All right, guys? So next, watch for types of hypnosis and hypnosis classification. That one will actually be more put together. I have done a lot of research into that topic. I have taken classes in psychology. So that will be a little more organized. That's more my one of my niches, I guess, but science just isn't. So thank you for being patient with me and learning with me. And let's remember to always be kind with each other because we're not bots, and that's just how we should be. I love you guys.